This is the Nhl Dfs strategy show from Osmo.com. I am not solo today, joined by Nolan Kelly. Nolan, how you doing? Ready to win some big money tonight?
What's going on? I saw you up at the top last night, but I guess it just didn't work out in the end.
Yeah, I was close. Yeah, I was close there for a while. I think I was in first for a while, but those two gamers, it's always tough. Like I checked my phone at the wrong time, and I was in first, and I kind of knew it wasn't gonna hold up, but
So
uh,
tilting, right? Because all it takes is one goal, and it's like the whole thing just totally
oh yeah,
changes.
that's what it was. I mean, it wasn't like a ton happened at the end either, but I think if Shen would have buried, or it was either Shen or Schwartz buries the empty netter, I'd probably finish in the top three or so. Maybe get first. I'm not exactly sure, but yeah, that was not fun to learn about. Um, let's see, what was yesterday? The 7th. So gonna pull up lineup study in just a bit. Wait for some people to pop in. Um, I'm gonna at the channel first. Actually, first things first. Get the premium Slack in in and watching. Um, let's see here. Lineup study pulled up. We're of course presented by Yahoo Daily Fantasy Sports. We love playing on Yahoo. Less rake than what you're going to see over on Fanduel and Draftkings. Um, yeah, I mean, some of their football tournaments are really nice, especially if you are, looking to make money at DFS and not just play as a hobby and chase the $1 million prizes. The
Yeah,
$10 is what I like. 10% management fee. Hard to beat that. 30K up
it's it's
top.
the it's the best place to play. Yahoo's yeah. If you're just starting out with football, go head over to Yahoo and check it out
Yeah,
for sure.
you've been having some success in NHL too over there, right?
Yeah, so I actually I didn't play there last night, I think, but I think the first like 3 or 4 days of the season, I made money on all. Didn't win, but didn't win any tournaments, but made money in all the $12. I think you're getting a less sharp brand of DFSer over there for the most part. We don't have rankings yet, and they do take into account plus minus, but that probably just means more likely that you need to stack even more because you're essentially adding more points every time your even strength line gets a goal. So you stack. You stack your line with a goalie, and then you do another two combo with another goalie, and then all of a sudden you're kind of maximizing your upside there. And I don't think a lot of people are doing that. So there's definitely ways to generate an edge on the field over there, and it's been good to me so far.
Yeah, it's good to hear. So get over and play on Yahoo if you want more information about how to get up to $30 of Yahoo Sports rewards points. Click on Emacs. I was going to say Spotlight Hitters article, but that was from baseball. I think it is now located in the primetime article. So Emac does those Monday, Thursday, Sunday for all the primetime NFL games. So you're going to want to check that out, and definitely going to want to take advantage of the information he has in those articles as far as Yahoo Sports rewards points.
Who's
Um,
who's winning the World Series this year?
Houston or the Yankees? I don't know. Like the Yankees look pretty tough, man. They just swept the
Oof.
Twins
I
last
thought the
night.
Twins were going to take him, but
Yeah, they look
they're
pretty awesome.
taking five at least. But yeah, not so much.
Yeah, they're so deep. Um, Brandon Johnson in the YouTube chat says, "I wish NHL had ownership. Makes it so tough without." Well, no promises yet, but that's actually something that's being worked on behind the scenes. Alex and Tom have been working on that pretty hard before NBA season, trying to get out some solid ownership projections for premium members to use. And if that comes to fruition, you're going to want to use the promo code NHL Early Bird to get up to $40 off your NHL Osmo Plus package. That only works for the yearly one, but I think it's a pretty good deal. There's also promo code Hit the Ice for 50% off your monthly package of choice. Right now, all we have going is the All Access, but 50% off the first month, I think, is also a pretty nice deal if you just want to try us out for a month and see what happens. All right,
Yeah, and
Nolan.
like ownership would be super valuable when it comes out, but I also think I feel like we have a pretty good feel for it a lot of the time. Hey, Jake, like we're usually pretty close on our predictions when we're talking about lines, and you can kind of get a pretty good feel if there's like a third line. And it's not an exact science, but the most parts, like you're going to get a third line less than 5%. There's lots of you can definitely figure out where most of the ownership is going to go in a given night, and then figure out spots to pivot.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's take a look at. We know like how, like we talk about like chalky or versus non chalky, but like to have some quantifiable data would surely help with NHL.
Absolutely, so absolutely.
Hopefully, we can get that going. Do you want to take a quick look at last night?
Sure, let's do it.
2-game slate, so hard to take a ton from it, but testosterone was were you watching yesterday? He was kind of a hot topic on the stream yesterday, and we were talking about stacking a little bit and whether or not.
I watched about a half hour, but I think I missed that part.
Yeah, it was mostly at the beginning, so if you popped in later, you probably didn't see it, but he had been quiet for the first couple days of the season and didn't profit last night, but he was up there still doing his full stacks as we're accustomed to seeing. So I don't think he has changed his strategy. Just noting that, but wouldn't take a ton away from the 2-game slate because it's just so random, and one goal can change everything as we saw last night. So I think I was in first and I dropped to what was it, like 30th or 50th, something like that. There's Corsi up there, GOAT. I don't even think I got in the top. Oh, there I am. What did I get? 28th? Yeah, so 2 goals scored. All of a sudden, I go from baking 10 Gs to losing money. So that was really fun.
Tilt.
Yeah, I mean, can't really expect a ton. Like you shouldn't even check your phone or your laptop before like the third period starts in those 2-gamers, especially when it's
unless you've got a really low owned line and they're going off, you're going to be fighting for it. So
yeah, but like everyone's still gonna there's still gonna be stacks that you're just gonna be competing with so many people. I didn't max the tournament last night because I wanted no part of more often than not you're probably gonna lose a lot of that when you're maxing. If you look at some of the people that did max, even Testosterone, who got in the top 5. Or actually, I think like 6th or 7th. Only
still lost money.
Yeah, still lost money.
That's insane.
Let's see. Oh, B. Kreider didn't end up winning? Was there a stat correction or something at the end? I swear.
I didn't notice anything.
Man, okay. Because I'm assuming it's a he had like the top 3 entries in the $10. So
yeah.
Man, I swear I saw him take everything down. I thought he swept everyone with the top 3, but maybe not. I must be misremembering. So if you just look at the profit,
same lineup, or was it like one different?
No, it was like 2 or 3 uniques. So yeah, dude, it was there must have been a stat correction. Wow, that sucks. Because he was winning like 15,000.
6 in the top 10.
Yeah. He had 1, 2, 3, and then I think 7 and 8 or something. The last time I checked, because I was tilting because I saw myself just plummet. Damn, that sucks. And with the bonuses and all that can swing even more. Man, that's gonna be brutal. Feel bad for that guy, but he's a really awesome player, so he'll get it back at some point. All right. Anything else you're finding interesting about this 2-gamer last night, or should we move it on to the games?
No, I'm just looking at what won here. Looks like some kind of mini stacks, avoiding the Toronto game, which was probably pretty big, and then just getting in a couple low owned. Texier.
Yep.
Bennington. Yeah, a few contrarian plays to go along some chalk.
Bjorkstrand definitely helped. I think he had almost 20 points. Scored a goal.
He in the usual spot as well, I think is an interesting move. I don't think a lot of people do that. So if you want to get creative on these 2-game slates, that might be a good way to go.
Yeah, dude. 2-gamers are fun. I play them. I get why people don't play them. But I don't know. I feel like I have a decent strategy on the 2-gamers. And
what's your strategy?
I mean, it's not that much different than what I would do on a 4-gamer, but just less stacking. I think I allow more D in the utility spot, like you said. But it just depends on the players. I mean, mostly just let the projections.
It depends on the teams and the matchup. Sometimes I'll just go double, I'll stack and just go double third line. or like 2, and then like just leave tons of cash on the table, and you're pretty much guaranteed to be unique, and like it's a 2 game or anything can happen, right?
Right.
So
Right. One full line goal. I mean, by a third line or something, and if you do stack, like you're just in a really really good spot.
another question for you: do you like on these 2 gamers, you'll play a defenseman or against a goalie, right?
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Sometimes 2, most of the time 1, but yeah. All right, let's get into the 8-gamer. I think some lines being juggled around, and let's start with Carolina and Florida. 2.9 implied total for the Hurricanes, 3.2 for the Panthers. James Reimer getting the start against the former team. Sergei Bobrovsky going for the Panthers. Do we see anything weird here with line changes? I think the last time we talked, Carolina lines were a little bit different.
Yeah, but they're the same now, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, since the last couple of games have been the same. Aho centering Niederreiter and Teravainen, and Stahl centering Svechnikov and McGinn. So I prefer the lines this way. What about you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that top line's loaded. One thing I noticed from last game in the line changes article, Dougie Hamilton, though he's not getting the power play one time, the second power play unit actually got most of the ice time there. And he actually led the team. He led the team in power play ice time with just under 5 minutes last game. So that's something to keep an eye on. He's not going to be very popular tonight because he's $6,700 on DraftKings, and that's just going to be way too expensive for most people with some of these other options up here, not seeing him on the power play on the road. So if you do need a contrarian pivot, I think he's not a bad option. I'm not super high on him at that price, but. And then on the Florida side, I don't think there's any major changes for Florida either. They moved up Connolly to the second line last game and put our boy Jace Hollyruck on the third line. I kind of like that third line as a little bit of a sneaky sleeper. One note as well, Yandel's been moved down to the third pairing. He's the value at defenseman I think a lot of people like tonight and will play. Because he's on that top power play unit, but he did only get, I think, 4 minutes with the top line last game. So be wary of stacking that. You're pretty much hoping for some sort of power play correlation if you're going to stack Yandel with him, which of course is possible, and he's a great bargain. But it's not as good as we think it is.
Yeah, he's fine as a filler guy. Not someone I would go super heavy on, to be honest. 3,500. I think kind of the right price based on the minutes he played last game. So maybe he doesn't play just 14 again tonight, but third pairing, I wouldn't expect him to be over 20. So in a PP stack, that's fine. I mean, I do really like Florida. So if you wanted a 4-man stack it, he wouldn't be a bad defensive option to go with. But mostly I'm just focused on the top lines on both sides here. Specifically Florida 1, just way too cheap. I think we talked about them being too cheap. Maybe on the Saturday slate or something.
Same deal again tonight. Yeah, I don't know about you. They're my in terms of pricing, they're my favorite stack of the night.
They're up there for me. I don't know that they're my favorite. I think one might, the one that's everyone's favorite might be my favorite too. But
fair.
Florida
you can fit both of them together, thankfully, because Florida 1's like 15,000 on DK.
I know, God, it's so annoying. So it's not actually bad. Like when 1 or 2 lines are underpriced, but like when every line's underpriced, just pick up pricing, then it's obviously a problem.
So
like
it's not as bad as that other night where every single line was underpriced. I don't know what the hell that was.
So we've got some real pricing tonight with a couple exceptions. I think Florida 1, Pittsburgh 1, a little bit too cheap, but not going to wreck the slate or anything like that. So I like Florida 1. I think they're probably going to go up against Barkov, Niederreiter, Teravainen. Not the worst matchup in the world for Carolina 1 either. So I'll be not running it back. That's more of a football thing. But I will be playing some Carolina 1 in my non-Florida stacks. Just like the top 2 lines here. Florida 1 is going to be probably a top 3 or 4 exposed line for me. And then I don't have much at all on the defensive front here. You mentioned Dougie, just really expensive. And then Yandel, I'm tempering my expectations for a $3,500 Yandel. I think he's going to be a little bit chalky, especially because it's early in the season. People are probably using numbers from last year and maybe even the year prior. And I just don't think you can project him for around 20 minutes tonight. I think he's going to be more in like the 15 range, and that makes a big difference for 3,500.
Yeah, I think he's actually a bit of a fade here. I mean, he only played 13 minutes last game. He got moved from the second pairing down to the third pairing. So, like I think you can get away with fading him. It's basically the other good thing about fading him is he's essentially an assist machine. That's how he's going to get his points. So he's probably not going to kill you unless he gets like 3 helpers. But he's a great value play at that price. But I think there are also some other plays, especially in this next game. We're going to see that there are going to be some guys getting about 30 minutes or 20, 30, couple Jets probably getting about 25 to 28 minutes for around that price range too. That'll probably go way under owned.
Yeah. All right. That's really all I got in this game.
I just wanted to ask your thoughts though, because I feel like one guy that goes under owned, and maybe Mike Hoffman goes over owned, I think sometimes, but as a solo play, and people don't use him as part of like a full Florida 2 line stack. I want to know what your thoughts are on stacking Florida 1 with Hoffman in a power play stack, and then just going with the full Florida 2 stack and putting like 3% owned Brett Connolly with 17% owned Mike Hoffman.
I like the second one you mentioned a little bit more. I was talking about yesterday. I'm not ready to even close to give up on stacking right now, full line stacking, especially on these bigger slates. So I think more likely for me, it would be Trocheck with Hoffman and Connolly. But like if you wanted to differentiate your Florida 1 stack a little bit and take out Huberdeau or Dadonov, even though it would be tough to choose between the two and replace Hoffman, or just do full power play stack with 4 forwards and maybe even Yandel and just save a bunch of money there while getting exposure to a team with a good implied total. That wouldn't be the worst idea either. But yeah, I don't mind using Hoffman as a one-off or as a power play stack. Like I have no issue with that at all.
Awesome.
All right, let's go to Edmonton and the Islanders. 2.5 implied total for the Oilers, 3 flat for the Islanders. Mikko Koskinen going up against Semyon Varlamov. Edmonton, what are they doing tonight? You want to talk about their lines? They keep switching them up.
Yeah, so Thomas Yurko is up on the second line with Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and James Neal. Joaquin Nygaard is down with Gaetan Haas and Marcus. Oh, no, Granlund was a healthy scratch, right?
I thought so.
I think these daily face-off lines are wrong here. I just pulled them up. So I have in my notes that Granlund's a healthy scratch. For the Islanders, Noah Dobson makes his debut probably on the third pairing. I didn't see any major changes there. Maybe while you can talk a little bit about this while I look up and see if daily faceoff is wrong here.
Yeah, so I think for matching here, and I don't know that it matters a ton. I mean, McDavid's McDavid, but not the best matchup for McDavid in terms of just going up against a low event line. Nelson Bailey and Del Cole. They don't have a huge sample together, but they have been pretty low event. And I know Nelson and Bailey have been. Islanders had one of the better defensive performances last season. Kind of just did a complete 180 from the prior season. I think they're going to end up somewhere towards the middle, but when they just have to focus on shutting down one line, like McDavid and Draisaitl, really, I don't think they're going to have I wouldn't be surprised if they limited him here. So I'm not getting too much Edmonton 1 at all. I'm a little bit worried about the matchup, even though I get it's Brock Nelson. McDavid and Draisaitl are so much better than this other line, but I think they're going to be actively trying to get the puck out of McDavid's or off McDavid's stick, and they've had some success doing that when on home ice. So we'll see. The line that really the only line that I'm targeting here is Islanders 1, Barzal, Everly, and Anders Lee. Based on what I said with the matching here with Nelson against McDavid, that should open the door for Islanders 1 to generate against Edmonton 2, Edmonton 3, and whoever else they go up against. Just a reminder, this is one of the better lines in terms of did Nolan just leave? I think he just backed out. This is one of the better lines in terms of generating high danger chances. So let's see if Nolan comes back in. You guys are probably seeing 2 of me right now. Yeah, you are. Nice and close up. Good stuff. Maybe Nolan's computer just turned off, but we'll wait and see. Let's see. What else do I have in this game? Looking through my exposures. Ran a crunch before the show, as I usually do. Not really getting to a bunch of this game outside of some Barzell shares. Barzell, the full line stack, fully correlated. Actually, not fully correlated because Everlay's not on the top power play, but Barzell and Lee both on the top power play. I like Polak if you can fit him in at 5,500. Not sure that that's the best value on the slate, but he's still a guy that I found myself getting to quite a bit against this Edmonton defense. Just a guy with a huge shot, and he goes on these spurts where he does attempt a lot of shots. Kind of been a frustrating guy for me, but tonight I'm playing him at 5,500. All right, let's see if I can put this to solo me. There we go. I think you guys could probably, you guys should only be able to see me now. Okay. Anything else here? If you are playing Edmonton, I would have a hard time playing Edmonton without playing McDavid, even though it's at least formidable second line, I suppose. Nugent Hopkins and James Neal, like, it's not the worst line in the world. Jerko on the second line, not the greatest. But that's really all I got here. Ethan Bear, if you're punting at 2,900, that's fine. Darnell Nurse, I think I prefer a little bit over Clefbaum just because of the price as a one-off, but not a lot of guys I'm playing in this game, so I hope it stays somewhat quiet. Hope I don't get McDavided. McDavided? Yeah, let's go with McDavided here. He's always a scary fade, but I don't even know. Is he going to be popular tonight? I don't think he will be because of this 2.5 implied total. And if I'm going to a team with the 2.5 implied total, there's a line that I like that I think you guys are probably going to be mad at me for recommending. And we'll see. We'll see. It's not Edmonton 1. I'm not really wild about them tonight. Let's go to, oh boy, this is where we could use Nolan. But let me see if I could run through the news and notes here. Why can't Nolan come back into this meeting? Let me see if I could run through the news and notes. 3 implied total for the Jets, 3.6 for the Penguins. What is this in chat? Listen, anyone can score on any team, so you're saying you can't play them is dumb. Well, I didn't say you can't play them. You can play whoever you want. I am not putting guys in your lineup for you. Can only tell you what I see and what I plan on playing at least. And I don't plan on playing a lot of Edmonton 1. So there you go. If you think they're a good play, you should play them because I don't think they're going to be highly owned. Jets 3 implied total. Penguins 3.6. Hellebuck, Matt Murray in net here. All right, Edmonton put Laine on the top line with Scheifele and Wheeler. That means Nikola Ehlers slides down into the second line. All right, did Nolan respond to me? Oh, there you go. Vott's sending me the notes. So we got Morrissey and Kulikov out for the Jets. Sami Niku is expected to be on the top power play. Oh, what's up, Nolan? There we go.
What's happening?
You're back on. Let me change this back. All right. So, God, man, YouTube chat's been nuts the last couple days.
What?
I was just talking about the Jets and the Penguins. News and notes here. Do you want to run through them?
Yeah, sure. Let me pull it up. So some computer troubles there.
I figured yours just like turned off on you or something.
I've had the guys in to fix this thing like about 5 times and it doesn't seem to ever work. So
sounds like fun.
That's a fun. So the major notes for Winnipeg: Josh Morrissey out, Dmitry Kulikov out. In addition to losing Trouba and Bufflin being out, that's leaving them pretty shallow. Dmitry Kulikov, Pionk and Sami Villikinola are probably going to be on that top pairing, and I'd imagine they're going to get a ton of run tonight. Probably, I would imagine that they're both around 25 to 28 minutes. They've both been eating up minutes to begin with already this year. So, and then I noticed daily faceoff. They did this last year. They just kind of randomly put a Jet on the power play. I think with absolutely no information. I can't remember who they did this with last year, but it was some like one of the most random defensemen. And he ended up getting like actually somewhat decent ownership one slate. So this year tonight, I can't even speak today. They have Sami Niku up on their top power play now. I'm just going to look and see if they still do. But I just asked the beat writers. It was an optional skate this morning, and they are expecting some combination of Pionk and Ville Hinola. Yeah, so they still have Sami Niku on the top power play unit, and I'm fairly certain that that's wrong.
Yeah, I don't think that's correct either. I think it's going to be Nola or Pionk or a mixture of both. So those two guys, Pionk's price has come up a little bit, but he's still playable on the top pairing at 4,600 in this game. You would think just based on the total alone, there's going to be a lot of shots, a lot of chances for block shots, shot bonuses, and then you've just got value in a variety of different ways. So if you're playing a cash game, I don't really know how you avoid playing some Penguins here and maybe one of these Jets defensemen. I know they're not good, but hard to get exposure on most nights to a 6.5 total. And, your top pairing of defensemen is 3,300 and 4,600. So bad real life players. I shouldn't say bad real life players. They're in the NHL, but guys you would want to attack for Pittsburgh, but that doesn't mean that they're not going to get block shots and shots on goal and have exposure to playing with good forwards like Wheeler, Scheifele, Laine, those kind of guys.
Absolutely.
So Pittsburgh won when I'm running projections is kind of crazy. I am getting so much Pittsburgh won that I can't even I usually don't cap, but like tonight I think I kind of have to cap because I'm just getting like 50+% Pitt won. And I know Simone is not great. 2,700, he has a decent projection. But like, how do you avoid Crosby and Gensel here? If you're playing MME builds, I don't know. Even if you're not full 3-man stacking, Crosby, Gensel, leave off Simone, whatever you want to do. Those are two of my favorite guys tonight. On the other side, prefer the top line, Scheifele, Laine, and Wheeler, but I'm also playing a bunch of the second line as well. So a little bit of a split exposure for me on the Winnipeg top two lines. What else do you see here? I mean, how much Pittsburgh won do you expect you're gonna have?
I don't know actually, like because they're pretty expensive, but I think like the differentiation play is just going to be stacking that full line as well. And Chris Letang seems to be coming up a lot in our projections as well. We have him as our most highly I think we have him as our number one highest projected defenseman. It looks as well like Justin Schultz will go on that top power play unit in place of Malkin. Curious to see what happens with the Pittsburgh second line and what their ownership is like as well with the recency bias off the Jared McCann game the other night. That's an interesting spot. I'm kind of off Patrick Hornfist. I don't know what the hell happened to that guy, but I don't know. Unless he's like sitting 2 feet away from the front of the net on the power play, I don't want to play him anymore. What do you have any interest in any of these depth lines?
Not really. Like McCann, Galchenyuk, and Tanev are coming up, but those guys are just coming up because they're cheap, I think, and because of the implied total. So I'm being careful on how much I actually use of McCann and Galchenyuk in those. As far as like third lines here, I usually don't dip down to third lines anyways on 8-game slates unless there's a guy maybe like a Hornquist who was just super cheap, but 6,700, basically no interest in that. Especially when Teddy Bluger and Aston Reese are his line mates.
I feel like Galchenyuk's a little overpriced as well.
Yeah, and he's supposed to play in the top power play. I don't remember if you mentioned that. I was too busy deleting stuff.
No, actually, he's not bad. Sorry, he was 56 the other day, so he's down to like 5K, so that's not bad.
Yeah, Letang, I think I will have Letang. Like, I'm probably going to be in like the 15 to 20% range on him. Yeah. I think he's going to be really popular because he is expected to be on the top power play. Daily Faceoff has it listed like that. And Schultz as well. kind of less interested in Schultz if Letang's going to be getting that top power play time with Crosby and Gensel and those guys. So mostly just going to get to Letang. I mentioned Heinola, Pionk. Those are two guys I like quite a bit. Hard not to like them here. I hope the Winnipeg side goes a little bit undervalued. I don't think it will. I've heard a number of people talking about Winnipeg tonight and talking about maybe they go under-owned, but I doubt they're going to. They're one of my favorite stacks outside of Florida 1 and Pittsburgh 1. So I would like
maybe
to
get a game stack here, right?
Yeah, I'm not. I mean, I would never force it. That's the problem.
Yeah.
So
yeah, Line grading out really well for us for tonight as well. So that's interesting because I feel like that second Winnipeg line will go totally under-owned.
Yeah,
compared to the first.
I think so as well because it's Cop centering them. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly.
Yep, I like the call there. And, you got two talented players in Connor and Ehlers. Like, it's not like he's with two plugs. And they're also not super cheap where they're just going to be thrown in every projection system. So I do like the call on Winnipeg's second line. Anything else here?
Oh, shoot. I must have missed it. When did Line get moved up to the top line?
Oh, yeah. I mentioned that while you were just getting back on. That was at the end of the last game. So this game starts at 7 Eastern. I would just keep an eye on it for the lines. I don't think Winnipeg skated in full this morning. Some of their beat writers were saying, I think it was an optional practice if I remember correctly, but I don't know if they skated in full.
It was optional.
Yeah, so I would expect it to be Line, Scheifele, Wheeler. I think DFO is correct on this one. But if it's not, it wouldn't be the most shocking thing in the world if Ehlers were still back up on that top line.
Yeah, totally. Watch those game day skates for sure.
Yep. All right. Anything else here?
No, but I kind of like that top line even more. That's going to be. I hope it doesn't get too much ownership.
Well, real quick, their numbers with Line off the top of my head, I know haven't been great. Like their possession numbers, but like they have to figure it out. Those three together, you would think that those.
Was that based on last year too?
Yeah. Because
I feel like, I don't know, Line was just such an absolute disappointment last year. Not that you can throw it an entire year, but I'd expect. Like, I'm curious to see what this year will be like and what his numbers were in year one, because like it was such a huge difference last year. I don't really know what happened to his game, but it's entirely possible that we see him rebound in a really big way this year.
Yeah, I mean, you would think a guy as talented as him would be able to do so. Let's go to Dallas and Washington. The Caps, 2.5 implied total for the Stars, 2.9 for the Caps. Ben Bishop, Braden Holtby is expected. Bishop is confirmed. Any line changes here?
Yeah, so Evgeny Kuznetsov moves back into the lineup after his suspension to start the season, but they actually placed him on the third line with Carl Hagelin and Richard Panik, which I kind of like as a sneaky one-off. Lars Eller still centering TJ Oshie and Jakub Vrana. Kuznetsov goes back on the top power play unit. As for the Dallas side of things, it looks like they've reunited Ben, Seguin, and Radulov. I noticed one of the tweets from, let me pull up the link here. Mike Heika, one of the beat writers for Dallas, is reporting that the power plays are not what Daily Faceoff has. So according to Jim Montgomery, it's Pavelski, Seguin, Lindell, Hansen, Heiskanen. So and Daily Faceoff, I think, has all three of those guys on there. So there's some reason at least to downgrade them, especially because Dallas shuffles their lines all the time. But of course, when they shuffle, they usually shuffle to get those three back together. So I wouldn't be surprised if they stuck together this game, and I'm pretty high on that line. Just generally, I think that's this is about as good as matchups get, and I don't know what their ownership's going to be like. I don't really have a feel for it. What do you say?
I don't. So if Ben wasn't 5,200, I think they would probably go pretty overlooked here, just because of the implied total. They don't even grade out that well for us. Like, it's not like they're like a slam dunk or anything like that. But I really like Dallas one. I mean, I love when these three guys are together. I like when they're on the road. That usually lowers ownership. People like to play the home teams. Home teams are oftentimes favorite, have a higher total, whatever you want to call it. So I'm hoping the 2.5 implied total scares people off. I think that's a little bit ambitious on my part. But I think I'm going to be pretty comfortably over the field on Dallas one, assuming they're in like the 5 to 10% range as a full stack. I think I'm going to be above that because, if you look at the matching here, the probable line matching, it's probably going to be Backstrom, Ovechkin, Wilson going up against the big three for Dallas, if I had to guess, at least for a good amount of their ice time. And as we mentioned on last week's show, they were not good defensively last year as a trio. So I think they allowed over 15 high danger chances against per 60. And actually the Caps so far this year have been really good from a Corsi standpoint, 61% Corsi for percentage. But man, like I don't expect them to be that good.
No. And they've had some tough matchups too. It's not like they're not playing duds. They played Blues, Islanders, and Hurricanes so far. So that's not
kind of weird.
Those aren't tough Corsi. Those aren't easy Corsi matchups. For sure.
I mean, can't buy into it too much so far, but it was weird to see that.
Exactly. It's such a small sample size. It's so hard. I usually wait till about the 10-game marker to start actually bearing down into some of these stats. But one thing as well I noticed from the Dallas side is that Klingberg's getting a lot of time with Dallas 1 right now. So that's something to take into consideration. I think he had about 15 minutes last game out. So he's one of the better correlated defensemen if you want to go the 4-3-1 stacking route.
Yeah, I don't mind that. Probably going to play in the power play with at least a couple of those guys, depending on what they do, like what they actually do during the game with those units.
Dallas... I would say that I don't actually know what these power play units are. Right. I suspect the B-Writer is right, but like that's just a guess.
Right, exactly. And it's Dallas. It's like we've seen this happen all the time where they have Janmark on the top line, or it was Gurianov the other night, and it ends up being Sagan with Ben and Radulov or someone like that. Like
they were together, I think 10% at 5.
Right, it always happens. So I'm always fine playing them together, especially on bigger slates where it's going to be lower ownership. I don't. Do you like anything on the Cap side here? Because I
think I'm going to pop in one or two Washington 3 lineups maybe. We saw last year that the Hagelin Lars Eller line had a little bit of success. Kuznetsov is just so cheap. Hagelin's been known to pot a few. I think Panik's got his off the power play 1 now, so that's not as nice. But maybe like maybe 1 or 2 lineups there. I also don't mind Washington 2. It's a little bit expensive for me. And Washington 1's fine as well. I don't know. I'm not super excited about anything.
Yeah, I'm just not excited about anything either. Because I'm playing
Orlov as well as a cheap D.
Who'd you say? Orlov?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually. I mean, it's a good price for him. $3,100 playing top 4 minutes probably.
I noticed a few. Who was it? Well, Homer Clee's using him. I noticed some other pro using him a lot the other night. So I think he probably projects really well now with Niskanen going.
For sure. Okay. I mean, I only got to about 5% 5% exactly of cap stacks. And that's fine. Like, I think you should probably, like, if you play my sort of style where you like to spread it out and full stack, I think you're probably going to get to some caps top line. But like, I really don't like targeting Dallas all that much, especially when Bishop is in net. So I'm going to be looking to get different elsewhere as far as like getting an edge on the field. I don't really think there is one on the Caps here. They're always higher owned than I expect. I'm always surprised by their ownership. It feels like
Wilson's price point a little bit better this game though.
Yeah, especially not on the PP. Like maybe you get an edge in full stacking there because he showed last year he does have some offensive upside when he's playing with good players.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to full stack it with him on the line, and if Caps 1 goes off, you hope that he gets a goal or 2 in there.
All right, let's lose some more money on Dallas 1 tonight. Let's continue the trend from last year.
Yeah, they lost us so much money last year. Unbelievable.
They've lost probably more line than any line in the history of hockey because I swear they had that one amazing season and I just never learned,
Yeah, I mean, they had a couple of breakouts last year, but like it felt like we were on them every night and they just sucked all the time. So once again, new season, but we're still playing Dallas 1 basically every time they go out there.
Especially against Washington.
All right, Ducks and Red Wings, 2.7 implied total for the Ducks, 2.7 as well for the Red Wings. John Gibson, Jimmy Howard, and net here. We did get some confirmation on the Ducks lines. I don't know if you saw that, but I believe what we're seeing on screen is I think those are the correct lines, but let me take another look. Do you see anything?
No, I didn't see anything. They were just debating about whether or not Sam Steele would be back in the lineup, but it looks like he's going to miss another game. I think these are pretty much the same lines that they had last time out. Nothing super, nothing really stands out here. I do kind of like Anaheim 1 a little bit. Anaheim 2, what's that price point there? Like I feel like this is a pretty good matchup, and it's going to go under owned a little bit. So I don't know. Not hating it too much. And then on the Detroit side of things, we have Athanasio is expected to be activated from IR today. He unfortunately is not listed as on IR on either site, so we don't really gain that leverage for people that aren't paying attention, unfortunately.
Yeah. So he's listed there. It was weird because he was placed on IR, I believe, yesterday, and then just taken off for whatever reason, and now he's expected.
Has he been taken off now?
He's expected to be taken off. He said he thinks he's going to play today.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's going on there. If they're trying to be creative with the roster, I don't know what the reasoning would be behind that. But yeah, it's expected that he could play at least. Doesn't matter all that much for me because it's going to be a ton of Detroit 1, Larkin, Bertuzzi, Mantha. They're coming off a huge game. So that's kind of annoying. Mantha, I think he had 4 goals in their last outing on Sunday. Maybe people didn't play that.
There, right?
Maybe people didn't play that one. But man, we'll see. I hope they're not too heavily owned. I'm hoping once again people follow the implied totals here and kind of get away from this game and just hope it's going to be a grinded out kind of game. But Anaheim did play pretty up tempo against Arizona, and we've got this line that's so good at generating chances in Detroit 1 that they're one of my favorite stacks. I think they're going to be in the top 5 for me tonight, maybe even top 3 as far as total exposure. I absolutely love them.
Yeah, really, I think the only real fear here is John Gibson on the other side, right? Like if anyone's going to stand on his head, it's Gibson. So.
Gibson's incredible. So yeah, that's probably your last line of defense. But like the decor doesn't look too menacing for the Ducks. I know they dealt with a number of injuries last year and they looked better towards the end of the season. But I'm just so in love with Detroit 1 and how they play. That
they're fantastic. They've finally been reunited, and also all 3 of them are on the power play, which is something we didn't see at all last year, I think. So
because people would leave off Bertuzzi, right, and because he was on PP2 or whatever, but like now it's going to be a popular stack tonight. I just know it. I'm just coming to that realization. I hope it's not, but though, like Larkin would be a guy I would look at in cash if you guys are trying to build your cash lineups. Him and Crosby would probably be 2 centers where I think you could start your lineup with.
100%. Yeah.
How surprised would you be if this is the highest owned line tonight? I would be pretty surprised if anyone that's not like, I think you're going to see 25-30% for Gensel and Crosby. Simone might be under 10, so who knows there as far as full stacking.
I think this probably gets to about 15 to 17.
Yeah.
18.
Yeah, I think they could reach the teens right now, though. I mean, I think they're going to reach double digits. Maybe they reach 15, the mid-teens.
Yeah.
We'll
Florida
see.
1, I think, is going to get their share as well, probably about 15.
Yeah, and I think people do overrate value a little bit when it's like the super cheap guys because they work well as optimizer plays. But like here, okay, Larkin's been awesome for an entire season now. Him and Mantha together are insane. Bertuzzi, those 3 had a ton of success together last season. So not only is this line too cheap, they're also in a pretty good spot, and they're just really, really good. So like for that, I don't mind the chalk. I'm going to hammer Detroit 1 and see what happens. No Nick Cronwall. I saw some comments in chat about Cronwall. Jake loves playing Cronwall. Yeah. No Cronwall, so you can actually maybe play some okay defensemen, at least guys that might score you points in DFS. Cholowski listed on the top power play. Do you expect that to continue here? And then do you want to talk about anything else in this game?
Yeah, I think that's expected to continue. I looked up, like there's not a ton of correlation between those two, but I think he's a fine fine punt play it at that price point if that's where you want to go. And if you want to stack them up, I guess he's probably a pretty good bet for a second assist or something like that. But that's about it. And sorry, what was the other question?
You like anything on the Duck side here?
I kind of like both of those top lines as filler stacks, as low on filler stacks. I mean, Detroit's not exactly fantastic defensively, and I think the real appeal comes from the fact that they're just not really going to get much ownership. Anaheim won 13,400 on DraftKings, the same price on Fanduel. We have them as a C for points and an A for value, so I think that's a pretty good value stack right there. And I mean, anytime you get Kasha and his shot volume, pair him with Getzlaff, and then who's the third person on that line?
Kasha, Getzlaff, and Devin Shore.
Shore. So Shore is going to be about 2% owned, right? So that's appealing. He's the least talented of those three, but so you're going to get a major discount on that line just because of him.
He is listed on the power play with those two guys, technically the second unit based on what Daily Faceoff has listed, but I don't know. I'd probably want the unit that Getzlaff and Kasha are on anyways. So he's going to play with them, you would think, the whole time. Maybe Lindholm would be the guy that correlates a little bit better to the Getzlaff line. The Getzlaff line is the one I prefer here. Him and Kasha together, I think, is a really, really nice combo if you wanted to leave offshore. I don't think that's a terrible strategy if you wanted to take a one-off elsewhere. We know a lot of people have liked one-offs earlier in the season with the new pricing. I'm fine stacking up Shore, though, as well. Defensemen are not heavy targets for me here.
Sorry. Did you do the power plays today? Or was that Cliffy's
that was Cliffy. We don't have him in for an author. So gotcha. Why? Who did Cliffy like?
Oh, no, I just got a note from Osmo himself saying the power plays are really good today. I think he thought I wrote them, so I'm going to have to correct him on that.
No, yeah.
He likes Jared McCann and Sebastian Aho and Elias Lindholm, Frank Petrano. So he's on that Florida top line.
Yeah, dude, I saw, actually, now that you say that, I do remember liking all the stuff he wrote up today. So Florida won. McCann, I think, was a pretty good call. He did like Athanasiou too, but then we thought he was going to be out, and then so I don't know if that got brought back into the article. But he did like Athanasiou for what it's worth if you're tailing Cliffy, which I don't think is too bad of an idea. Oh man, these guys were mentioning Nemeth. I didn't even know he was playing. $2,800.
Come on, how did you not know that?
Yeah,
you're pressing the block button
my favorite guy, Patty Nemeth. Don't play Nemeth tonight. Maybe there will be a night this year where you could play him. I don't think this is it.
No way, man. It's all about the Colorado back then. Forget it.
Yeah. Colorado won with Nemeth because he was the cheapest defenseman that would play like 3 minutes of ice time with them. Good times. Let's go to the Sharks and the Preds. 2.9 applied total for the Sharks, 3.2 for the Preds. Marty Jones, Pekka Rinne in net here. So Sharks have very, very bad numbers so far this season, but they've only played against Vegas. So you need to give them a little bit of slack there. Yeah, exactly. Because Vegas, I think, probably a top 5 team in the league. I think that's pretty fair to say. Maybe higher, maybe number 1. Who knows? But what do you see here with Nashville and San Jose?
Yeah, so Evander Kane slides back in on the second line. Marcus Sorensen is expected to miss. He's in the concussion protocol, so that changes up the third line. I think Lucas Radl moves up from the fourth line, and I'm not sure. I think it's Johnny Brodzinski maybe stepping in. I forgot to check that. Not that you really need to know what's going on with San Jose 4. So Kevin Labanc moving. Oh, they shifted these lines around since I last saw. It looks like Kevin Labanc up on top with Couture and Meyer, and then Barclay Goodrow on the second line with Hurdle. So I'll update that in the column today. And then on the Nashville side, I think things are pretty much standard. Didn't really notice any differences. Did you see anything?
What's that again? I was reading.
Did you see anything different on the Nashville side?
No, they're still running out Duchesne with Forsberg and Granlund, Ryan Johansson with Smith and Arvidsson. So nothing new there.
And my boy Dan Hamhuis is a healthy scratch. Maybe for the first time in his career. Bad. I don't know. I shed a little tear this morning.
Man, they played the Ducks too. The Sharks did. I don't remember that. Maybe that was on.
Yeah, they did.
Maybe was that on Saturday? Saturday.
I think that was a Sunday nighter, maybe.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the weekends I always get confused because we don't really have weekends all that much.
Let's have to keep track of all these weekend changes because the slates are usually so bad,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. That too. I'm usually just busy complaining about DraftKings $40 contest and nothing else.
I like this $4, man. I hope they keep it, but they
They'll
won't.
keep the $4. It'll be a $3 some nights. They'll probably
Yeah,
keep the mini
exactly. It'll
mags
be
around.
$3 with half the people in it and
I think
five
the
hundred dollars
contests
up.
are gonna fill today. I'm talking
Yeah.
to
Oh, they
Corsi
are.
on DM, and he's saying that DK a bunch of their contests are filling. So get in those now if you guys are playing on DraftKings tonight.
While you're talking to him, find out who we should play tonight.
Corsi he pops in YouTube chat every once in a while, um,
Good.
but yeah, no, he gives me all the plays in the DMs, and then I just tout him here. No,
I like it. I like it.
I like the
What are you
Duchesne.
doing with this one?
Yeah, I like the Duchesne line a little bit. Well, first of all, I really love that what San Jose did, loading up the top line, Couture with Meyer
Yeah.
and LeBanc. I like that trio together. I also like when Hurdle and Kane are back skating on the same line. The power play correlation isn't optimal here. Burns and Carlson, I think, both listed on the top unit. I don't know if that's actually going to be what it's like when the game starts. So be careful with the PP1, PP2 tags or whatever. I actually prefer Carlson here just for value sake. I really like Eric Carlson for 6K. I think you could stack him up with either line. I do like some Sharkies tonight. I usually hate the Sharks when they're on the road. I think they're going to be not great this season. But if I had to pick a line going against them, and I think you should like some lines against them, I prefer the Duchesne line.
Yeah, I kind of like I kind of like both sides of this. I like the Sharks again for my usual reasons. I think that they're going to go overlooked as with a tough matchup in Nashville, but the price points on Couture and Meyer are really reasonable, and LeBanc, and the second line as well. I think they're all super cheap, so they grade out as a pretty good value for us. Burns is also going to go under owned at 7K on DraftKings because there are other players in better spots, and he just hasn't had a good start to the season. So I think you can go back to Burns. I'm sure you will. The Nashville too, I like a lot. They're getting a ton of ice time together. I think they were like at 5-on-5. They were one of our highest rated lines in terms of total ice time together. I think close to 30% or something. So that's always good to see, especially when you have Nashville that tends to spread out their ice time quite a lot. So I do like that Nashville too, even though Forsberg's quite expensive. Nashville won as well, though you got Ryjo who never shoots. So I don't know. Never pretty tough to get excited about that. I'd rather go with Nashville too.
I think pretty fun spot for Yossi too. The problem is I'm not getting to him above guys like Giordano and actually Letang and Carlson on the other side. So I might bump up Yossi a little bit. I think it is a pretty good spot. You mentioned the second line pricing with Forsberg at 7,200 makes it a little bit difficult to get to compared to some of these other cheaper lines. They're 18.4 to stack together. So not going to come up on a value basis, but hopefully that lowers their ownership a little bit. I don't think I'm going to be over the field on a ton on the Nashville side. Whereas I think I'm going to probably get to a good amount of Couture and Meyer and LeBanc stacks, and same thing with the Hurdle line as well. And of course, Burns and Carlson. But like I mentioned, getting to a lot more Carlson than Burns, it's difficult to get up to the extra 1,000 when I have them projected somewhat similarly at tighter pricing tonight.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Like they're just better defense values, I think, on this slate. I mean, and like I loved going like when Burns is in one of those hot streaks where he's just like firing shots at no tomorrow. You just kind of auto click and press the lock button. But we got Giordano, we got Yossi, we got Eric Carlson, and we got Chris Letang on this slate that I think all grade out better for us. So I still like popping him in a few lineups though, because the great thing about putting in Burns is you're getting access to that offense, and he can generate so much on his own, right? So
right, yeah, I think he's still alive for the double bonus, the block shot, and the shot on goal bonus, and basically every game. You wouldn't look at this one and be like, man, it's a great Burns spot, but he's still like the shot volume could certainly be there. The blocks definitely could be there against Nashville, who you would expect to have a lot of shots on goal here, or at least shot attempts. So chances for blocks. But yeah, I mean, Burns, it's not like Burns isn't shooting. He's got 21 shot attempts in his first 3 games. So a little bit lower than you would like, but he just
Oh, I
hasn't
didn't
gotten the
realize that was
points.
high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he just hasn't gotten the points. Like, he just hasn't been like had the Brent Burns game where everyone remembers why you play this guy all the time. So
Just gonna ride with him. Maybe tonight's the night. I certainly like using him, and if you compare him up with some of your chalky stacks, I've noticed that's something that
for sure.
Tom JK321 likes to do a lot. Is pair like one really good value stack up with one really low own stack that's still like a decent value, but for whatever reason just isn't getting the ownership, right?
Yeah. Someone in chat asked, what is the site you were screen sharing? This is the Awesemo.com NHL lineups page. It's nhl.lineups.awesemo.com. You can use this as kind of your lineups page. The lines do get refreshed throughout the day. You've got Awesemo's totals on the side here. And if you do get a premium subscription, promo code Hit the Ice or promo code NHL Early Bird for the yearly subscription, $40 off there. You will get the grades and the projections. And when we get ownership, you will get the ownership projections next to these guys. So you can export straight up to Draftkings and Fanduel. So pretty cool tool we've got here. Like to utilize and build lineups, or at least show different sorts of builds on shorter slates. Kings Flames, this one should take like 5 seconds, I think. 2.5 implied total for the Kings, 3.5 for the Flames. Jack Campbell expected to go here. David Rittich confirmed for the Flames. I like the Flames. They always project lower for me than I like. I'm finding I can get to some of them tonight, but I think because of the restrictive pricing on Gaudreau and Monahan, and this line being over 19K tonight, they're not going to come up as a good value. I think the ownership's going to be lower than what the spot actually indicates it should be. So I think if we had a top stack tool, this would be a line that comes up as under-owned despite it being pretty decently owned, if that makes sense. So
yeah, second most expensive line on the slate next to Winnipeg 1, actually, which, God, that might lower their ownership to that price, but I didn't realize they were that pricey. So we still have them graded out pretty well. Tough to get away from them. This is as good a matchup as it gets. They have the highest 5-on-5 ownership as a line on the slate. They all play on the power play together. Is Lindholm's up on the power play 1, right?
Lindholm is, yep.
Yeah. So one thing I do like to do, same with when we talked about Hoffman and the Panthers earlier, one thing I like to do is occasionally switch out Elias Lindholm and Matthew Tkachuk. And then you can get some unique stacks there. And I've had that work a couple times. I think occasionally Tkachuk will just pop those power play goals, and then all of a sudden you've got leverage on all of those other Calgary stacks. You don't need to do that in every lineup, but I like Calgary 1 here, Calgary 2. I wish Lucic and Ryan weren't playing. I kind of like Mangiapane as well, but as well we got Sam Bennett up on the second line there.
Yeah. So I think we're going to see probably Backlund go up the most against Kopitar. I follow Brown. If you're just thinking logically for the Flames, like why would you be playing right into the Kings' hands and be putting up Calgary 1 against Kopitar? So while Calgary hasn't really matched hard in their first game, it's a 1-game sample. You can't really take it to the bank, but I would expect them to make it a concerted effort to put Backlund against Kopitar. I follow Brown, and for me that kind of cancels out both lines. If I had to choose one of those, it would be the Backlund line, but the power play correlation there is very bad, and it's not really a line that is super high upside throughout the season. So want to get to more Calgary 1 here, want to get to a ton of Geo. I'm going to get to a ton of Geo regardless, but I want to play more Calgary 1, and I'm just trying to figure out a way to try to get creative because it is difficult to fit them in. So I think we might see them under 10% despite it being one of the highest totals on the slate. Like I think them compared to Pittsburgh, you might see Pittsburgh at double the ownership, Pittsburgh 1 at double the ownership of Calgary 1 just because of how tough it is to fit in all three of these guys.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I think like going to Calgary 2 kind of makes some sense here because it's still a high implied total, and that line is still pretty good, especially with Sam Bennett at super cheap price on there as well. What was the rule last year? If it was like if Frolik was up on the second line, they used them as they used them as a hard match against the other team's top line.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's Backlund. Backlund's one of the better two-way centers. I think like at least one of the better defensive centers. So you don't like Calgary 2. I'm not crazy about Calgary 2.
I guess
They're
they're probably going to see a lot of Kopitar, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I expect. Just based on what they've done with Backlund historically, and I think
We have seen that line. It's interesting. That line's a really interesting one to watch because we have seen in these matchups, like I think against Colorado, where they do use them to hard match, we see them just get a huge ton of ice time. So that can provide them with an upgrade there.
yeah. So yeah, that's certainly something to watch for, because then that obviously takes away some ice time for Calgary 1. I think because they're not deep, then you might just see you might see a lot of ice time for Calgary 2, but also a ton for Calgary 1 as well, and they just maybe just ride those two lines, so they don't have to play Lucic and Tobias Reeder and guys like that as much. Yeah, that's all I got on this game.
I'm Team Mangiapane. I like that kid. I think he's got some skills.
Well, what was the line last year? It was Mangiapane, Jankowski, and someone.
Bennett?
Maybe Bennett? Yeah. That line, it was like listed as the fourth line, but they're really like a third line.
Their fourth numbers were ridiculous.
Yeah, they were kind of nuts.
Mangiapane was like a stud in junior. He had like 140 points or something, but typical NHL fashion, I think he's like too short, so they'll let him drop to the 6th round or something ridiculous. It's just like
classic.
They'll never learn. What are you doing with Giordano here?
Playing him, just playing a lot of Gio right now. He's a top 3 guy. I think there's a decent case for him to be number 1. I would try to force him in with Calgary 1 or 2 for that matter. But I also, one of my favorite one-off guys for sure. I don't really see a reason to get off of him at all.
Nope. Anything on the LA side?
No, not really. They got to show me they can generate goals and shot attempts. Like
I feel like maybe Doughty possibly having a rebound year.
Could be. Yeah.
23 minutes last game. I don't know. He's always so boring, but I'm keeping an eye on him.
Sure. I mean, 5K, like historically, we've seen him priced in like the upper 5s, so maybe you're getting a discount.
So last year he was like 4 all year. It's just a bad year.
The Kings just stink. Sorry, Boom. Bruins, Golden Knights, last game of the night, 2.7 implied total for Boston, 2.9 for the Golden Knights. Rask, Fleury in net here. So this is one where we've got a lot of talent on both sides. A couple stacked top lines, and then the second line, quote unquote, the second line for Vegas. That's really a top line with Pacioretty and Stone, Glass centering them. I mean, this one is really interesting to me because we've got a Boston one that I think is underpriced. Maybe gets a little bit of ownership, but like I don't think Vegas one is going to see all that much time against Boston one. So I actually like Vegas one here quite a bit. What else are you seeing here? Anything noteworthy?
No, nothing really noteworthy. But I think actually what happened is I finished the line changes a little early today, and I didn't get a lot of these later afternoon skates. So I'll double back and double check if you're a premium member and make sure. I'll just go over everything, make sure it's all good. Looks like the lines are all the same for Vegas. For Boston, I did notice that David Backes is supposed to draw back in on the 4th line, but that's not super exciting. Krejci looks good to go. DeBrusk on line 2. Looks all the same to me.
Yeah, man, this is I'm pretty heavy on Vegas right now. I think that's going to stick. Like Boston's not a great matchup, but I just want to play talented lines and talented teams in like these like average to below average spots. So Boston at home, I think I'd probably be more likely to get off of Vegas here. But I'll play Boston one basically wherever, and then I think Carlson, Marchessault, Smith are also just an incredibly talented line where if they're just going to go overlooked, that's a line I want to be over the field on. And then you've got nice power play correlation with Carlson, Marchessault, Smith on PP1, Glass, Pacioretty, Stone on the quote-unquote second unit. And then another note just in Boston 1's favor is just that no Nate Schmidt for a while for Vegas. That's huge for them. So now you've got Merrill and Holden in your top 4. Is it Hag or Haggy and Engelin? Pretty brutal bottom 4 there.
That's a good point. Yeah, this Vegas D is not what it was last year with no Colin Miller and no Schmidt in there.
Yeah, so I actually do like Theodore. He's getting a price bump down because of the Boston matchup, I would imagine, is heavily weighted in DK's algorithm. But I like Vegas 1. I don't mind Vegas too. And then I really like Boston one as well. So I'm hoping this one kind of goes nuts. You just see the talent, offensive talent take over. But we
I
will
think
see.
this whole game is just going to fly under the radar. So
Yeah. Someone said tremendous, Eric S. Tremendous real game. I definitely agree.
I've just noticed on the Vegas implied total live implied totals, the Nashville's caught up to Pittsburgh as the number one for the number one total tonight.
Have they really? Wow.
3.7.
Interesting. I'll update projections with the updated lines and see if anything changes.
Get those Roman Yossi lineups in.
Yeah, you said you're going to update the line changes.
Yeah, I just updated as we were talking. I think I've got everything, but I'll just double check and make sure it's all good. So
nice.
I'll put it at the top in case anything changes.
Yeah, as far as what else we got going on tonight, I think we've got a preseason stream tonight for NBA.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Let's see. We've got a bunch of other NFL content coming out for the rest of the week. Feel free to check that out on the site. Again, promo code NHL Early Bird that expires on Thursday, so you got a couple of days to think about it. $40 off the yearly NHL package. So take advantage of that now if you plan on doing so you could save yourself a few dollars, few entries into whatever tournament you like. Shout out to Yahoo. Go play over there. Get your Yahoo Sports Rewards points. Check out Emacs primetime article if you would like to find out some more information about that. Do you want to go over quick top stacks? And people are asking for goalies. If you have any goalies that stick out to you.
So I think like price point wise, if I'm going for a one-off, it's probably going to be Gibson at 7,500 on DraftKings. I think the goalie pricing here, maybe Tuukka Rask in your Boston stacks. I like Bobrovsky as well. I mean, Carolina shoots the puck a heck of a lot, and I like using him in some of those Florida stacks. Yeah, that's about it. I mean, Riddick's probably the safest play on the slate. Maybe that's probably, if you're going to go cash, I would use him. But what about you?
You mentioned Bobrovsky. I do agree with that one. Man, I'm like scrolling through these guys. There's not anyone that sticks out. I mean, Gibson is too cheap, probably at 7,500 in a winnable game with a pretty low total for Detroit.
And you can kind of get access to both sides of this one. I feel like you can put Howard. Howard's expensive, but you can put him in with some of your Detroit stacks too, because it's not like Anaheim's all that great.
And then Varlamov is the one guy.
Yeah.
Whoever goes for the Islanders, they are pretty tight-lipped about who actually ends up starting. You probably get screwed a couple times throughout the season with them if you're not around your phone or your laptop.
It's a good advantage though if you're around, you can pop them in. I found these Islanders goalies do not get much ownership, so
yeah, for sure. And then top stacks, I think like the obvious ones are Florida 1, Pitt 1, and who's the other one? Detroit 1. If you're looking for like somewhat contrarian stacks, I think I like Vegas 1. I like Boston 1. I like that game. I'm hoping that one explodes a little bit. A lot of talent, like I mentioned, on both sides. Anything else?
That's it.
All right.
Back tomorrow. We got a 3-gamer. 3-game tomorrow.
Is it 3 games?
It's either tomorrow or the next day where there's just like no games.
It's probably Wednesday classic.
3-gamer.
Yeah, 3-gamer. All right, I'll be alone tomorrow, streaming. We'll talk about tonight's slate. Hopefully, reviewing some winning lineups from you guys in chat and me and Nolan and some guys.
And check out Slim Cliffy, Michael Clifford, our latest NHL edition. He's got his first power plays out of the year, and it looks like there is actually a slate on Monday. So he will be appearing on that show with you. We'd love to get him more involved because he seems like a pretty sharp character. Power plays look great today.
That's your Thanksgiving though, so I think this slate kind of starts. Starts at I think 1 Eastern.
Canadian Thanksgiving. Oh no, I forgot about that.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Maybe not.
He obviously doesn't.
We'll get him on an extra show though.
Yeah. All right, so here, let me post this link for you guys. Check out the power plays. This is a free article for now. Cliffy wrote this today. Did a great job, so go show him some support. He'll be on some streams in the coming weeks and for the whole season, really. And it'll be cool to get his analysis and mix it up so you see less of us at some point. That's what everybody wants.
Less of me.
All right. Well, good luck tonight, guys. And I'll see you back tomorrow. Feel free to give us a like on your way out.